Good afternoon. Oh, just had a big message saying recording in progress, so I hope this is now working. So good afternoon, everybody. This is a first for the 1280s of Christmas. We are delighted to welcome Neuralign all the way from Canada. It's also the first time that we've pre-recorded a session. So I'm going to guess at this point that myself and Matt have introduced this session, so you know what's going on. And also, we will be taking questions on the chat during the session, but obviously, I'll be sort of chatting to Ingrid, to Bob, and to Erika as we go through this conversation. So lovely to have you here. Thank you for joining us. Ingrid, Bob, Erika, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Janine.
And I've got to ask the stereotypical British question first. How's the weather in Canada?
Our weather actually probably similar to yours. Today it's cold and rainy. So we had some
It's
snow last week, but it's all melted and now
uh,
it's a little gray and rainy here.
okay. So, what sort of temperatures are you looking at?
So we do ours in Celsius and we're at 5 degrees Celsius right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very similar to Manchester, I have to say. Yeah, it's we've had a few sort of freezing nights, but it's looking okay. So, are you guys well prepared for Christmas? Are the decorations up? Is this sort of in preparation at the moment? Has the food shopping started?
Not as prepared as I'd like to be. I don't know about you, Ingrid. We did get our tree up last weekend, so that's up, but lots of shopping still to do and food
Mhm.
prep as well.
Yeah, we live on a small acreage of land, and
Oh wow!
so we will be going and cutting our tree this weekend. Yes.
Oh, fantastic! Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So
And
that's been fun to do for the last several years.
Oh, that's brilliant.
A lot of different shapes though that come in because it's a pretty wild tree.
and I
How's things
myself,
looking for you, Bob?
yeah, myself, I'm in denial. You know, I know that I'm most happy running around 5 days prior to actually Christmas morning. So not
You
there
are.
yet.
You're a man after Matt's heart then, because Matt's pretty much always leaves it every year, and to the point where he's running to the local sort of petrol station trying to find gifts and do all those good things. So yeah, I think you'll both be doing that, I suspect. Awesome. What about family plans over Christmas? Is this something where you tend to get the family all together, Bob, or is it just you and the significant
I
other?
have a fairly large family, so we're based in Ottawa, which is in between Montreal and Toronto, and
Yep.
most of my family's in the Toronto area. So we tend to celebrate some sort of Ukrainian Christmas after the fact, where we get together. So that's probably in the midst, and plans have yet to be revealed.
Interesting. So I've got to sort of just tease into that one a little. Ukrainian, where is the connection?
There is none. My parents are both English and Scots.
Right.
My father was born in Watford and was a Bernardo child,
Oh
an
wow.
orphan sent to Canada as farm labor in 1929. I was once at a reception at the UK embassy and reminded the individual that I was here to collect the interest from the £10 that was paid for my father to come to Canada. He later returned and fought in the Second World War, stationed in Shetland and Dice near Aberdeen, where he met my mother. They were married and were eventually resettled in Canada. So there is a closeness and a kinship
Ah.
to the UK.
Oh, fantastic. Have you visited Scotland?
Many times, I had the opportunity to lecture at the University of Edinburgh and the University of Aberdeen a few years ago, and
Yeah.
had the and also returned the ashes of my mother back to Aberdeen a couple
Oh,
of years ago.
wonderful, wonderful. Yes, Edinburgh, we have yeah, a lot of close friends and good contacts. Edinburgh University and the Edinburgh College, and yeah, wonderful part of the world, I have to say. So,
One of my favorite cities in all of the world is Edinburgh, for sure.
oh, fantastic. Oh, good, awesome. Well, in which case, next time you're over, we'll need to make sure we get together and sample some Scottish whiskey.
I've heard it's good.
Oh, it is. Yes. I'm not going to get into the Irish versus Scottish arguments, but no, that'd be fantastic. So, I mean, Ingrid, I know that Neuralign is a little bit of a family affair.
Correct.
So
It is. Yeah.
Christmas, I mean, is that sort of still work?
Family affair. We have everybody who comes and yeah, we quite enjoy it. There's about 15 people that show up and
Wow.
yeah, and it's a nice family get together and time to talk about Neuralign. I think that comes up in every conversation. We just can't help it.
No, it's pretty inseparable. I mean, I've got to ask, sort of, one of the the big traditions, obviously in the UK, is to have turkey for Christmas. Is there a sort of a traditional sort of Christmas dinner for Canadians?
It is, but our family is vegan
Oh,
or
wow.
vegetarian,
Yep.
so we make different loaves, lentil
Mm.
loaves and nut loaves, and
Oh,
just
fantastic.
we still eat very plentiful.
I was
So
going to say there's still a lot of very, very good options. So,
very good. Yes, that's it.
And fortunately, in my family, I'd say both the turkey and perhaps a part of a pig will arrive. And
mm.
yes, and so we're not vegan.
It's yeah, we're sort of fortunate to have both my family and my wife's family joining us for Christmas. So yeah, it always gets quite interesting trying to cater for many different sort of diets and tastes and ages. It does make life interesting. So I mean, Erica, I mean, I know that Ingrid is obviously your mother, your mum,
Yes.
and how many of your family will be joining for Christmas?
Yeah, so I have four in my immediate family, my husband and my two children, and we all go over to Ingrid's house. I'm lucky I only live 10 minutes away, but everybody comes no matter how far they are.
Mm.
Uh, as she mentioned, she's got a bit of acreage, an old farmhouse, lots of room for everybody. And yeah, it's just an amazing time for me to spend some time with my siblings and their significant others and the kids to run off with their cousins, and we don't see them for most of the time till we call them back for an activity or a game or a meal. They're off
Wow.
doing their own thing, and yeah.
Oh, that sounds amazing. That really does. I mean, the one thing, sorry to mention, but the Ontario accent is quite similar to sort of the West Country accent in the UK with your oohs and your ahs, which I find wonderful because that's where I'm from. And so yeah,
Okay.
it's good to hear that sort of following out. So I'm just going to mention at this point as well that I know that your daughter Erica has been playing a part in Neuralign.
Yeah, so my youngest daughter is dyslexic, and she was actually the first person who ever did our junior version of our program. So that was several years ago. We were just developing the junior, and she was a, about 6 years old. I recognized all the signs of dyslexia. It runs in the family, so we know what they are.
Yep.
Um, her teacher was less concerned than I was, but typical response of a teacher to just say, well, she's really smart, so she'll catch up. Don't worry that she's behind. Now, of course, we know that dyslexia is not an intelligence issue, so I was not worried about her intelligence. I was worried about her reading skills. So we decided to take the opportunity and have her be a tester for the junior program, and it absolutely worked amazingly, exactly as it should. We noticed right around the end of the cognitive therapy session that it just started coming together. All of a sudden, she was asking to read little books, whereas before she didn't want to even try. Um,
Wow.
when we were reading together, I would always try to encourage her to sound out little words, and she just didn't even want to attempt doing that, but started asking, "Oh, maybe I can read that one, and maybe I can read this page." And all of a sudden, it just started coming together the way that it should. And now she's 11 years old now, and so it's been a while, and
Yeah.
she is an excellent student, top of her class, and an avid reader. And I think that's the part that makes me the happiest is
Yep.
because I am also an avid reader. It's where I find peace is in a good book, and where I sort of get to withdraw from the world and the chaos a little bit. And so to see her being able to do that as well and experience that magic that comes along with reading, because we often talk about the practical side for school and education, all that is obviously very important. But as a parent, I'm thankful that she's able to experience the magic of reading and the joy that comes with it.
It genuinely is a gift. That's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Just got to ask, is she excited about Christmas? Has she still got the Christmas magic at 11
Always,
years old?
yes.
That's okay.
Always. I will say probably less about the gifts. They don't know what they want. None of the
Yeah.
kids know what they want these days because they sort of have everything. I think that's the problem. But they're excited about the rest of it. So spending time with family and having time
Yeah.
off of school and, just a little bit of downtime.
Brilliant. Oh, wonderful. It's brilliant. Yeah, there's my two have no idea what they want for Christmas, and it's killing us at the moment. So at this rate, they're not going to get anything. So in terms of Neuralign itself, which is what we're kind of here today to find out a little bit about, where did the sort of the genesis of Neuralign come about? What was the moment when you sort of decided to create this wonderful resource?
Sure, I can jump in. You want me to jump in, Ingrid? Yeah.
Sure, go ahead,
Okay.
Erika.
So Neuralign came, Ingrid had a reading center. So Ingrid's a lifelong educator, has worked with students for ever and ever, and is dyslexic herself. And so through her education path, she ended up opening up a reading center that specialized in teaching dyslexic students how to read. That really became her specialty. And I worked in that center as well alongside her the entire time. And what we were very frustrated with our options because there really weren't any great options that offered a real solution. Most of what's available as interventions for dyslexic students relies heavily on intensive reading instruction, which is really just more of what they can't do. So it's frustrating for the student. It's frustrating for the parents because it's not terribly effective. It takes a long time. It's costly. There's a time cost and a financial cost associated with it. But most importantly, what we were finding was just that children didn't have the opportunity to be kids because they spent so much time just working on their reading, and it was so hard. So they would spend all day in class and in school mentally exhausted because of the toll that reading took on them because it was such a challenging task. And then they'd have to go after school and do more of it, just to try to keep up. And so Ingrid really threw herself into the science of why. Why is this happening? We know these are smart kids. A lot of them may be too smart for their own good, so it's not an intelligence issue. So how come these smart kids cannot pick up the skill of reading the way that their peers can? And, maybe she became a little bit hyper focused on this issue. So we looked at a lot of different things. We looked at the research behind reading. We looked at the research behind neuroscience, and we, became familiar with a few programs that were trying to target the root causes of dyslexia. We know that there are certain things that dyslexic students experience neurologically that typical students don't. Things like auditory processing issues, working memory issues, executive function issues, and also visual processing issues. And we looked at all of these things and we started targeting each of them through different programs that weren't necessarily designed for reading. They were more occupational therapy-based programs, but we started incorporating those into our practice. And we found that by targeting these things, our students that were sort of stuck or had plateaued in their reading, all of a sudden were making real progress.
Wow.
And that's when one day, actually around the dinner table as a family, we were sitting having a meal, and Ingrid said, I was thinking, which
They all run when I
We
say
all
that.
we all thought, oh no, great, what now? Because usually that meant we were all about to be roped into a project. Um, And she said, we're targeting all of these things separately, and I think that we could probably do it more effectively. What if we put it all in one place? So in the evenings, I worked in the tutoring center. During the day, I was a graphic designer, and so we talked, about computer games and how we could target these auditory processing centers and the visual processing centers with what we knew. My brother works in technology, so he had some really good ideas about how we could build and deploy it. And before the end of the night was even done, we had some sketches and some concepts,
Yeah,
that we thought could work. And pretty soon after, we had roped in a development team to start putting it together for us.
that's amazing. It's yeah, my wife runs for the hills when she hears the phrase "I've been thinking." It's generally a precursor to something, yeah, a bit bonkers. Um, that sounds absolutely incredible. So I've got to ask the question: where did Bob come into the picture?
Yeah. Good question. So maybe Auntie, just a little bit of background. I'm at the age now where I'm kind of on the give back scale. When I first met these two, and so my background comes from technology. I'm one of the fortunate Canadians, or anyone in the world for that matter, that has sold an educational technology company to Google. And
Wow.
what we did is we pioneered the use of microfilm images of newspaper and made it searchable on the internet. And so
Okay.
since then, I have worked with over 200 companies to bring them to market. I consider myself a child advocate. I'm focused as a board member of the Children's Aid Society here in Canada, in Ottawa. I also work as an expert in residence at the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario, the Research Institute, which is a major pediatric hospital
Wow.
here. So the connection, was introduced to both Ingrid and Erika. I'm the father of one young lady, and so I'm very who in fact played a little bit of college basketball. So I saw the tumult that young ladies go through, and so I'm very glad to help women along in their journey, which in a man's world. So when I was introduced to both Eric and Ingrid, it was quite amazing. And Chris, the son, I saw the absolute need for this, the use for it,
Mm,
and how can we bring them into the world of sort of the health-centered world in pediatrics, because that was critical, and to ensure that we had the research that backed up exactly what the program was doing.
amazing.
From a testimonial standpoint, it's been outstanding in terms of what
Mm,
what the feedback has been back. But basically, I'm here to expand. I reached out to certainly your partner in Matt Dean, and here we are. So that's really my story, is really to how can I help
mm.
these young ladies as they move this great technology and innovation forward.
And yeah, well, for our side, I think we're going to be more pleased to have received your outreach and to be engaged on this. I know the feedback already has been astonishingly sort of positive, which is a wonderful thing for what is, I believe, a very unique and different approach to supporting kids
And we certainly know, Anthony, that the SEN message is coming across strongly in the UK.
Mm,
And there is lots of chatter about the testing, but we're not about testing. We're about the post-testing. We're
mm,
about affecting change. And I think that's the major difference here is we don't want children to linger for years when they could be using a program that just literally takes hours
yeah.
to set them straight.
No, it's amazing. I think one of the things touched on just earlier was, when kids are already working harder than their peers, they're working through their lunch breaks, they're working after school, they're, when they should be enjoying their childhood and, building those sort of relationships and everything else. But, anything that sort of brings that into a manageable scenario without sort of impacting their emotional development, or minimizing that impact anyway. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Yeah, truly, truly exciting.
And much of the testimonials that we've seen to date, Anthony, is it isn't so much about reading, but about behavior in a lot of cases, that kids are now more focused after taking the Neuralign program.
Yeah.
That there's just this sense of, and you can tell what's happened is that they have a fear of learning because they just were unable to read. And so I think that's such a critical part of this beyond just the pure reading journey.
Absolutely amazing. What I'd like to do, guys, is just to give our audience a bit of an insight into how Neuralign actually works. I know Ingrid has sort of queued up a bit of a showcase video for us, which is about 9 minutes, I think.
Correct. Yeah, because there's two portions of it. We have just our regular version, but then we've also developed the what we call our CDH. So it's the Charles Dickens
Okay.
version. So we had connections with the family and developed a version for them with that as well in mind. So I've got a snippet of that as well. So just to show the difference.
No, that sounds
Our
brilliant.
legal counsel, Anthony, actually
Yeah.
was involved with the auction of Charles Dickens'
Oh,
death,
wow.
and it raised money for the Great Ormond Street Hospital. So that is our connection.
That is
Correct.
amazing.
And what we do is some proceeds to whatever's sold goes to towards the children's hospitals. So
Wow.
anything that's sold in UK will go towards the hospital there, and out here we send it to the CHIO. So it's our way of giving back.
No, that's wonderful. And I did see sort of that you guys are a not-for-profit as well, aren't you? So which is really really nice to read. And good to know that is all sort of going back into the community, which is wonderful. After we've taken a look at this, I mean, I know that there's a sort of been a presentation to UNICEF, and also you guys have been finalists or going to be finalists on Bear's Den in Canada. So we'll come back to that after we've had a little look at sort of the video. But Ingrid, I'll hand over to you to run the video, and we'll
Perfect.
hide in the background for a few minutes.
Can you see it?
Can indeed. Yeah.
Perfect. So here we go.
Drag the bees from the left side to the right side to make the same pattern.
All working.
Listen for the word. Catch the ball with the matching word and place it into its designated spot. Ba, a, ba, 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 la. Find these hidden words and add them onto the line. The clock tocked. Drag the mosaics from the left side to the right side to make the same pattern. Find the right word and place it onto the cloud. Ba, a, t, bat. Great, now find the missing letter to spell the words. Ba, a, t, bat. Listen to the sentence, then pick the word for the meaning of the sentence and place it into the box. Gate. My horse has a beautiful gait. Gate. No. Listen to the word, then pick the right word and place it into the square. Nan. Look at the real word at the bottom. Then find the matching scramble word on the balloon and add it to the top.
You are going to complete different games in every session. There will be 15 cognitive therapy sessions in total. This is the first session. The first few sessions will seem easy, but that's okay. It's meant to be that way. Just do your best. Try to get the answer correctly and quickly to get the bonus points. I'm very excited to be working with you. My name is Tiny Tim. My father, Bob Cratchit, works for Mr. Scrooge as his clerk. Mr. Scrooge isn't very nice to him.
Drag the coloured ornaments located in the tree from the left side to the right side to make the same pattern.
Bah, humbug. My name is Ebenezer Scrooge.
Listen to the sentence, then find those hidden words and add them onto the line. We sell bells.
I am Jacob Marley. I'm as dead, if not deader, than a doornail.
Listen to the word, locate the coin with that word. Catch the coin and add it into the correct money sack. Pa, pa, pan. Pa, pa, pan.
Wonderful.
Duh.
I hope the people saw me in the church, because I am crippled, and it might be pleasant for them to remember upon Christmas Day who made the lame beggars walk and the blind men see.
Drag the coloured hexagon located on the streetlights from the left side to the right side to make the same pattern.
Hello, I'm the ghost of Christmas past. That Ebenezer Scrooge always wants to count his money. I'd rather find words. Can you help me?
Listen to the word, then pick the right word and drag it to the top. Ta, a, tan. Pa,
I am the ghost of Christmas present. I appear to Scrooge with a bountiful feast arrayed around me.
listen to the sentence and pick the word for the meaning of the sentence and add it into the square. Story. A Christmas Carol is a good story. Story. Here.
Scrooge is an ogre to my family. We don't like to talk about him at all.
I am the ghost of Christmas yet to come. I am shrouded in a robe, leaving all but my hands covered.
Find the right word and place it onto the cloud. B. Ban. N. Ban. Great. Now find the missing letters to spell the words. B. A. N. Ban.
I wish to be left alone. Since you asked me what I wish, that is my answer. I don't make merry myself at Christmas, and I can't afford to make idle people merry.
Look at the Pig Latin word or words displayed at the bottom. Find the real words and add it to the top.
I get thoughtful sitting by myself so much. Sometimes I think of being in different places, just like reading a book can bring you to different places. Don't forget, when you come to the end, which is the congratulations page, don't log out until you see your graph.
Drag the coloured hexagon located on the streetlights from the left side to the right side to make the same pattern.
There we have it.
No, that's genuinely fascinating. I'm sure for our audience, for the first time of sort of seeing, the visuals, hearing the audio, seeing the coordination required, and also sort of, the cognitive engagement. You've got to be focused, and sort of maintaining that focus, and tuning out the sort of the ancillary sort of graphics that are going on to be able to achieve that. Fascinating, for me. I mean, I've never seen an approach like that before. What inspired that approach?
So there are a number of different things. First of all, we wanted a completely different approach. We didn't need to come up with something that already existed. Again, we developed this sort of selfishly for our own needs within our own reading center. Initially, not really with the intention of sharing it. It was really just to work with our own students. We wanted a solution that worked best for them. We were offering different, as I mentioned, occupational therapy-based programs that targeted a lot of these different things, sometimes in similar ways to what we were doing, sometimes differently. But they weren't being done at the same time. They were all sort of being done one after the other. And so we wanted to put everything in one place. As we were developing this program, we also have colleagues who are psychologists, who are occupational therapists. They also put their input. They found out we were developing a program. They said, oh, you have to include this component. Oh, you have to include that. You have to do these. We have to work on convergence issues because we know that a lot of struggling readers have convergence issues. It's not dyslexia, but it can affect reading. So convergence is the eye's abilities to track together, for example. So if we can work on that, then that's great, because if there's an underlying convergence issue, then that's being addressed at the same time. We know that dyslexic students often have a hard time distinguishing like-sounding sounds within the English language. So, for example, F and TH might sound the same. Well, how are you supposed to know how to spell a word if you can't tell the difference between those two sounds? What are you supposed to use, the TH or the F? So we wanted to break the words down into their individual components and then gradually bring them together. So what you saw here was a snippet of one session. Yeah. In the games stay the same from start to end, but in the earlier sessions, the visual distractions are much less intense. And the auditory, so when you hear those words said in their individual components, are actually much further apart. As they go through the sessions, those auditory distractions, so as you said, they have to listen through the different sounds, those become more intense, but they build up to it. So they don't start there. We say usually by about session 5.
Oop, we lost Erika.
I was wondering if that was my internet or
No.
Erika's.
Yeah, Erika's in the country, so her internet is not always the
Definitely my
best.
internet.
Yeah. So you were at session 5. Yeah, usually we notice the difference by session
Sure.
5. That students are much more engaged and not worrying about the different graphics and the sound parcels. They're accepting them now. At first, sometimes it's a little bit difficult, but not for everybody. Some just find it a little tedious, but then once they realize they can do it, and how easy it is. And that's a big component that we needed to work on as well. We had to make sure that this was achievable for all the students, because often programs that the students have, they hit a plateau and they can no longer continue. And that's just more frustrating for them than ever, where we don't ever have our children or the students hit a plateau. They will always go up and into the next session. So that's always a bonus for them too. We have 5 different levels. So the level you saw here was P2, so it's the middle. But we have a junior version, and of course, for the CDH, we tame it quite a bit for the younger kids. So it's not so dark, if you will.
I think
But the older
Anthony,
kids like it. So
Anthony, I think that we consider ourselves electricians, that reading is a very difficult skill, and we are trying to get the brain to use the visual, auditory, and vestibular and have neurons firing at the same time. That's the point of the exercise, from our side, and that's what this does. So it does look crazy in terms of the screen and all the elements that are going on, but everything that you see has a purpose in helping the brain understand how to take up reading. It's that simple. So we're not a structured reading program, more so we are a brain training. I had the good fortune of working with some doctors that worked with opioid addicts who are doing the same thing, trying to reroute the brain to relearn effectively after harming portions of the brain. So that's really it is neuroscience that we work with.
As one of the sort of the phrases I picked out off your website, which I thought was perfect, which is sort of the cognitive training program, which I thought summed it up perfectly. I have to say.
And you saw with the CDH version, we also have just a regular version too. So we have characters. Now, what's good about that is the characters, especially at the beginning, they guide the students through what they need to do. So, and then throughout, they give it words of encouragement and just different tidbits of facts and things like that. So it's also another form of engagement.
In a school setting, Anthony, we get the feedback from the teachers are, well, this is the quietest 35 minutes of my day, as the kids are all involved with this. So it's really quite remarkable to see. And the fact that one of the bigger differences in a primary school situation, we could have as many as 25 kids with very little help using this at the same time, which is not one-on-one training, not having resources. So, one of the complaints, and certainly we hear from the SEND side in the UK, is that you need far more teachers for this to be successful. Well, we don't, because we can do this in mass, which is really quite a difference too. And we have Erika. Erika has rejoined us.
Yes.
She has. No, but just to mention on that, I mean, the fact that it is instantly scalable, across whatever size of organization that you're working within or for is amazing. That it's always a challenge, sort of, with any resources, getting people up to speed, to get it distributed, to get it, in the hands of the people who will benefit. So that sort of capability for Neuralign is incredibly useful, very, very valuable, very, very valuable.
It certainly has a mental health aspect to this,
Mm,
so that
Yeah.
even children that don't require this in really,
yeah.
there's no separation. You're not taking 5 children and moving them out of the class
Mhm.
and sequestering them. So it has that benefit, and we see
Yeah.
that too.
We
I,
did a full grade one class last year. Erica and I went to assist. We did not
mm,
need to be there because
yeah.
the students were very capable and maybe the first two sessions, but after that, but they were so cute because every time they'd see us or every time they went in the classroom, their first question to the teacher was always, "Is it Neuralign Day today?" So,
Well, I was thinking as I was watching it, I wonder how many sort of kids within classrooms they see their classmates using this, who then also want to say, "Oh, can I have a go? Can I see? Can I do it?" I can see that happening all the time.
yeah.
So no, 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 no. I don't know how Erica has managed to turn off her background and disappear. I'm afraid we've only got about 3, 4 minutes
Yes,
left.
sure.
But just a couple of quick questions from me before you depart. Is the UNICEF? I understand there's been a presentation to UNICEF. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, I'll let Bob hit that one.
Sure, yeah. So UNICEF, we have been approached by UNICEF to join their learning cabinet, which is approved ed tech. Quite a long process to join their selected use of applications. So that's very exciting. We're also available in numerous languages, from English, French, Spanish, Portuguese, Arabic,
Wow.
and Yiddish. So we have a broad spectrum, and the benefit transfer. There's a transference of benefit from, say, if you took it in French and to English, from English to whatever. So that's also quite an exciting part of what we do.
Fascinating. That's brilliant. And I'm also going to note that you're finalist on Bears Den 2025.
Correct, this Friday.
Oh, it's this Friday.
This
Ooh.
Friday.
In which case, when this is broadcast, we'll hopefully be able to give an update on that and let our audience know sort of how you got on. So
We'll do
and,
that.
and hopefully how they can maybe watch it. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's super exciting.
Yeah, we're very excited about that. I'm not sure how many finalists. I know last year there were four.
Right.
So I'm not sure this year how many there are, but we were very honored to be chosen as one of the finalists. Yeah, for sure.
That's a huge achievement, I have to say. No, that's amazing. Amazing. Last question from me, honestly, and then I will let you go. But the future for Neuralign, um, is this restricted to just supporting sort of, what we've seen today? Or are there other challenges, when it comes to, people who've had a stroke or have dementia, or, is this something that's going to continue to evolve, do you think?
So I mean, it's really 8 to 80 is what this could be used for. We have worked with individuals who've had strokes.
Right.
We're also creating a virtual reality version of this. So a headset version which would allow children to manipulate with their hands, and especially for older children who may see this as a simple concept, are now excited by having to work. We'll be able to work in a virtual world using, in this case, we're designing this for the Meta 3S headset, but eventually it could be used with anything that was wearable. So that's kind of the exciting next steps for the program. Part of what we do is we have kids using the mouse. A lot of kids don't use mouse anymore or nor do they know how to use them. So
Yep.
this gives the ability to use their hands, and which is all part of the neurological training that goes on in the brain.
Amazing. Yes,
I'll jump in there just
please.
very quickly, and I apologize for not having my camera on. Clearly, my internet decided it was done with that, so it's off for now. But I did want to mention just quickly as well that we do have providers who use the program sort of off-label as a tool with their students who have autism or ADHD. They use it as a sensory integration tool. Neuralign is divided into three components. The first component being the cognitive therapy, and then it's followed by targeted reading practice. So when they're using it off-label for those means, they focus more heavily on the cognitive therapy and leave the reading practice part aside.
We also have a provider in Kuwait who uses it in her CP, so cerebral palsy clinic, and she uses it all the time for that purpose.
Amazing. Yes, I think there's so many applications and environments that yeah, truly exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, we're excited to be working with Aventino and
Yeah.
AT Superstore as we
We
move
are the ones who
into.
are flattered, Bob. I have to say, it's very kind of you. So no, it's truly exciting to bring something so innovative to market, and it's sort of a phrase that you know, is used too often, I think. I know that as soon as we finish recording this, I'm going to be handing back to me live, who will be telling the audience that if you want to have a play with this, if you'd like to sort of see more information and get hands on, then we'd be only too delighted to engage and sort of show you just how much this can benefit. So yeah, super exciting. Awesome.
Great.
At that point, I think everybody in our audience is probably going to be gasping for their lunch by now. So if they've been munching all the way through, I hope we've been able to answer your questions as we've been going through, if there were any. Just before we go, I'd just like to say to Erika, I hope your daughter and your family have a wonderful Christmas. Obviously, to Ingrid, I hope all goes well and you manage to cater for everybody you've got coming along. And Bob, hope you and your family all have a wonderful Christmas break. And
Cheers, Anthony, and I will take a pasty if you're buying lunch.
Nice. We'll wash it down with the whiskey when you're over. No, that is fantastic.
You as well. I hope everybody as well there has a fantastic Christmas.
No, very much so. And thank you very, very much for that. Really appreciate it. And yeah, I hope everyone's having a good time. But yes, we look forward to hopefully visiting you over in Canada in 2026. That would be really quite amazing. I have one last request, which is every day of the 1280s, we like to give away an early Christmas present to one of our guests. And we do it on a random number basis. Now, I don't have the list. I don't have the guests, so I don't know what's going on. But I'm going to ask Ingrid for a random two-digit number, please.
Two-digit, 17.
17. Lovely. I make a note of that. And for whoever is on the call live at the moment.
Can I change that number to 27?
We can back it up with 27 if you like. Yeah, no, that's no problem at all. Okay, no, that's great. So yeah, Matt will be checking that off against the list as we speak, and yeah, somebody will be notified in the chat. And we do it so that if you're not here, you don't get the presents. Then we draw it again. So actually, 17. If number 27 isn't here when we draw the names, we'll revert to number 17 on the list and see if they're here. So
that was good.
I think we've got a plan. I like it. Awesome. Thank you also very, very much. Really, really lovely way to spend a lunchtime, and really enjoyed today's session. So I'm going to hit stop on the recording now, but just say really thank you very much and hope you have a fantastic Christmas.
Thank you.
Thank you all.